your teacher. Be happy, be proud. She's a very amazing woman. So yeah, I guess I don't need to really introduce myself, but yeah, my name is Jesse. I'm here today to talk to you guys about overcoming obstacles, facing adversity. Every single one of you in this room is going to struggle in this life. There's going to be hard days. There's going to be adversity. You're going to come across tough decisions you have to make. We're going to fall. We're going to fail. We're going to make bad decisions. We're going to get in trouble. You know, it's going to be hard. But no matter what you do, no matter where you are in your life, there's nothing that's too bad that you can't get over. There's no pain in this life that you will get that you can't recover from. There's no hole too deep that you can't climb out. No matter what you think you've ever done, you can always get out of it. You can always keep pushing forward. Nothing can ever stop you. There's nothing that time can't heal. You know what I mean? And every time you come out of these holes, every time you face this adversity and overcome it, you become a stronger person because of it. Every time you fall and you get back up, you become stronger. Every time you face a struggle, no matter how bad it is, no matter how hard it is, whether it's mental, physical, external, internal, out there in the job, no matter what it is, you can overcome it and be stronger because of it. And the best thing about that is, once you overcome it, you can help other people go through the same thing that you did. And that's what we do, and that's what this life is about. Facing, overcoming, and helping others. And that's what I've dedicated my life to do, and I know it with all my heart, and I believe it because I've lived it. You know what I mean? When I was your age, I was already in trouble. I was already spiraling in a long, dark, bad path. I grew up, you know, I come from a nice family. I have two parents that love me. I have an older brother and a younger brother that love me. I mean, did I do anything for that they would do anything for me? But for me, there was something missing. I don't know what it was. I grew up kind of shy, insecure, always kind of sad, always depressed. As far as I can remember, I could never sleep at night. Some nights I would stay up all night without sleeping at all. I was scared to go to school. I didn't quite fit in. I felt inferior to everybody else around me. I felt less smart. I was the shortest kid in the class. I was always the skinniest. I was the weakest. I had no confidence. You know, by the time I was your age, I was already smoking cigarettes, drinking, smoking weed, doing things that's kind of artificial happiness, right? Looking for those things that made me feel better. I didn't do good in school. You know, I didn't really have a whole lot to feel good about. I stopped playing sports at a very young age because, you know, my confidence wasn't there. I didn't really want to be seen. And I did find that kind of comfort in alcohol and drugs at a very young age, even younger than you guys are now. And my first time drinking, even though I was sick for about 3 days, you know, there was a point there, a half an hour, where, you know, I was a different person. You know, I wasn't shy, I wasn't scared, I wasn't weak, I wasn't insecure, but little did I know that that temporary, artificial thing that made me happy would eventually be the thing that would destroy me. Not only me, but destroy my family, break my family's hearts. I destroy people's lives. I hurt the people that were closest to me. You know what I mean? The closer people were to me, the more that I hurt them. Growing up, getting out from grade 8, going into high school, I was still doing poor in school. I was still doing bad. I kept finding that my life revolved around, you know, drinking and drugs, because it was the one thing that made me happy. But every time after you're done, you just feel worse. And people would think I was a happy kid because I was joking around with other people. You know what I mean? I made some friends through my party kind of lifestyle, but really I was dying inside. You know, really, I wasn't happy at all. I was miserable. You know, it was a disappointment. I felt I was a disappointment to my parents. I failed at school constantly. I was always in trouble. I was always getting suspended. I got kicked out of school in grade 9. I failed grade 9, went back the next year, got kicked out the following couple of years. You know, it just wasn't a good time. I didn't do anything good. I wasn't good at anything. I was still skinny. I was still small. My drinking and use of drugs escalated into a daily occurrence. It escalated into more dangerous drugs. ones that really kind of bring you down, and I really got out of control very quick. I stopped going to school. I couldn't hold a job. You know, I'd be out for weeks at a time, and it got out of control pretty quick. I wasn't eating. I would go 4 or 5 days without eating and sleeping. I was so skinny, so pale. You can see every bone in my body. You can see every rib in my body. You know, I was white, yellow eyes. I remember just being so down on myself. I remember I would avoid looking at myself in the mirror at all costs. Brushing my teeth, whatever. Walking by a mirror, I wouldn't even look at it. Because if I got caught looking at it, you know, you'd ask myself, what happened to you? You know, how'd you get to be like this? You know what I mean? I would look at pictures of myself as a kid, and I'd be like, you know, where'd you go wrong? And I just felt so worthless, so hopeless. It was pure pain. I wanted to die. I spent years of my life wanting to die. I spent years of my life asking a God every single day to switch mine with somebody else's. I mean, I would walk by someone who was sick with cancer or something, and I'd be like, why don't I have that? I mean, give me that instead of that person. I deserve that. You know, as I grew up, I lost more and more friends, but I couldn't stop. I couldn't stop drinking. I couldn't stop doing drugs. And it was brutal. My family was dying. My mom, it broke her heart. My mom's a recovering addict and alcoholic herself. So she always kind of stood by me no matter what. It broke her heart. All she wanted me to do was be sober and clean up. No matter what I did, she was always there for me, but I broke their hearts. I lost the girl I cared about most in the world, and everything just seemed to kind of crash down around me. Life was bad. I was stuck in a constant dark hole. The thing about the drugs, when you do so much, it messes your chemicals in your brains. When you're on them, you're really, you know what I mean, on the good side. But as soon as you come off them, it's hell. You know what I mean? I would go days without sleeping. I could not sleep at night. I remember I'd just kind of fall asleep, and I'd have like a dream or something, and it would wake up, and then just the depression, the hurt, the pain, it would physically hurt my stomach. I couldn't even breathe. I mean, again, I would get back on my knees and I would beg God, like this, I can't live like this. You know what I mean? My life is over, I can't. You know what I mean? The only thing that kept me going was my brothers and my mom. You know what I mean? And it was the only thing that kept me from, you know, being alive. And it was one of the darkest nights of my life where even that wasn't even enough. And so as I grew up, it just seemed to get worse and worse. There was no hope. You know, by the time I was 17, I was already in a group home. By the time I was 18, I was already doing time in adult prison. By the time I was 23, I had already spent about 2.5 years of my life in jail. But the worst thing about it is I didn't care about myself. Every time I got arrested, every time I was in there, I remember, I just imagined the look on my mother's face when she found out about Jesse being her kid in jail again. You mean, it would break my heart, and she would be crying all the time, so upset, and I couldn't even stop. It was so selfish. You know what I mean? And she would, the one thing she did say is that at least she knows when I'm in jail, I'm alive. She's so worried about me on the street. You know what I mean? So it was so hard, and there was glimmers of hope, at least. You know, and during that time, I did find a weight set. So I went to I guess, a nice jail as far as jail goes, but they did have a weight set. I did a regular gym time, and I did start eating regularly, because I remember a point in my life where I couldn't even eat an Egg McMuffin, right? I'd eat half of it, it would hurt my stomach. But I would start eating regularly, I would pick up the weights, I got strong fast, I put on size fast. You know what I mean? It was good. It was finally one thing I felt good about. You know, one thing. After a lifetime of not feeling good about nothing, I could look in the mirror, I was bigger, I was stronger, I put on some size, my confidence grew. So it was one thing, although I would struggle still for years, and it was that one thing that made me feel good, that I can always go back to doing, no matter what. There was glimmers of hope. I did manage to graduate from high school in jail. I would start at a college. And basically I started college the day after I got out. It was good. I was looking up for 2-3 weeks. My mom was so excited. She was so happy for me. I remember getting to my room. She had already decorated it. I don't know what she was thinking, but I had like this yellow smiley face theme in my room, so pillows, all that stuff. I was like, it was funny, but she was so excited and I was so happy. I was like, okay, this is it. But it didn't take long. You know what I mean? Before I would slip into my old ways. I would start drinking again. I would start failing at school again. And then the pain, the disappointment that I would, that my parents would feel for me would, just wreck me. And I would go back to the same thing that I always went to that makes me feel a bit better. No matter what. Because no matter what I did wrong, no matter how much trouble I was in, I know that I could drink for a night and it would just numb it. But I would wake up the next day feeling 10 times as worse, and that's how it spirals out of control. And I would stay drunk because I know what would happen is if I sobered up, then I feel that pain. I know it would feel worse. And it's just an endless downward cycle until eventually I would end up back in jail. I would ruin the college. I would ruin everything, and again disappoint my parents. And they were so excited to be and so upset. And it was actually during that prison bit. I was in for about 5-6 months. I got out, I was serving weekends. They let me come home and live with my mom. My mom wanted me to come home as long as I worked full time. And it was, okay, I was trying hard, but I was still slipping. I was still fighting, I was going in, Saturday mornings coming out Sunday night. But during which time, my mother, she started getting confused. She started losing her memory. She started, saying strange things. And we found out my mother had cancer and it spread to her brain. And my mother she was a breast cancer survivor twice before that. She was in remission. I thought my mom was invincible. I thought she would just beat it again. But, it got worse and worse. She got more confused. She was in so much pain. Watching her, it was devastating. You know what I mean? When she talked to me, when she's not making any sense, it was so bad. I felt so bad for her. She was so small, so cute, so innocent, so full of love. And just watching her, it was just awful. And sometimes I would stay at my work and I would drink because I wouldn't be able to handle it. I thought steroids and stuff they were giving her was going to help her. That she would come out of it again, that she would go back in remission, that she would live. But it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And to the point where she was in so much pain, just groaning, and I'll never forget that. And I remember one night, selfish Jesse, of course, stayed at work drinking and then got into the dope and stuff again. Stayed up all that night. And then on Saturday morning, before I went to turn myself in for the weekend, my mom was in so much pain. She was so hurting. I went, I gave her a kiss on the forehead, told her I love her, gave her a hug, and that was the last time I seen her alive. She would die about 5-6 hours later, with all my brothers, my dad there, everybody but me. I was on the floor of a jail cell. And I got out, and my brothers were there waiting for me at the bus terminal, and they told me. And I dropped to my knees, and the first thing that came to my head was, wow, you are such a piece of garbage. The one person who always cared about you, the one person who always loved you no matter what. You couldn't even stay sober the last night of her life. You made the last few years of her life hell. It's your fault that she's dead. And I would go by for years, just hating myself, feeling so full of guilt, so full of shame, that I couldn't handle it. And I still went back to what I knew what would help, even for one night of peace. But I would be flipping out. It was crazy. I remember being in my apartment, and I remember having these dreams, and I would wake, or my mother would be in these dreams, and she would come running towards me, being like, it's all just a mistake. I'm still alive. It's here. It's a big mistake. And I remember being like, no, this is a dream. This is not real. But it was so real. And I remember giving her a hug. And as soon as I gave her a hug, I would wake up, in my own apartment, my own terrible life, and just get on my knees and just bawl, man. That depression, that pain, that guilt just rips you inside of you. I wanted to die. That was it. I couldn't take it. I lived in this apartment, and that's basically how life went by like that for years. I would eventually kind of get sick of it. I would eventually get tired of it. I went back, got a few credits I needed. When I got into the fitness, I knew that it changed my life, and I knew that I could help other people. I knew that I took a lot of people to the gym. They got bigger, they got stronger. They started to feel better, they stuck with it. So I wanted to go to school to be a personal trainer. So I dug deep, I went back. Even though I was dying the whole time, I did manage to get myself into Niagara College for fitness and health promotion. And I remember starting at this school. The oldest kid in the class, everybody was all young, you know what I mean? The class started, and I was like, the teacher was talking, everybody started breaking out paper and pens. I was like, oh man, what's everybody doing? I didn't know what was going on. They were taking notes and stuff. So I started to kind of copy and do the same, and I remember that first test came up, and I thought I was going to fail this test for sure. You know what I mean? But I kept thinking, this is your one shot. Don't screw it up. You have to pass this test. I studied for like 3 days for this test. Every single word I learned in that class, I knew it off by heart. I looked at those pages over and over again. I stayed up the entire night, the night before, just knew everything, just hoping I wouldn't fail this test. And I wrote this test, and I ended up getting almost perfect. I'm like the highest mark in the class, and I felt so good, eh? You know what I mean? Never been good in school my whole life. I felt amazing, and it kind of stuck. Got me through that couple of years. I ended up finishing top of the class. I bridged into the University of Guelph Humber down in Toronto, in Rexdale. Got into University of Kinesiology degree. I was still struggling. I was still getting in trouble. You know, periods of sobriety followed by binges. You know, when I start, I don't stop until I'm literally sick and shaky and I can't move. But I was still able to somehow get by. I graduated kinesiology. I knew that I knew I wanted to start my own business. Because for me, I knew that for the years in the fitness industry, I wanted to get, how am I going to keep people in the gym? I know that if people work out, I know if people stay consistent, I know if people show up, put themselves in some pain, that they will change. Your bodies will change. You will get bigger. You will get stronger, no matter how small you are, no matter how skinny you are, no matter where you are. So I thought to myself, okay, how can I get people to stay consistent? But also, how do I make people become a part of something? Because I know how badly it feels to have nobody, to lose all your friends. It doesn't feel good. I know what it's like to be surrounded by positive people, like-minded people. Makes you feel better. I know that when you're physically stronger and mentally stronger, emotionally stronger, all these stuff tie together. So I was like, how can I create this? How can I change people's lives? How can I make people's lives better? And I went and did my first obstacle course at Warrior Dash in Horseshoe Valley, and I found my answer there. I saw 15,000 people, you know, finishing this course, conquering this mountain, conquering these obstacles, getting to the finish line, happy, cheering each other on. They worked hard, they sweated, and they put themselves in some pain. I noticed people out there training for these events, and I thought, this is it. This is it. This is how I can do it. This is how I can help people become a part of something, not only become physically stronger, mentally stronger, and kind of grow together. So I went to, I had no idea how to start a business, so I took business at Humber. I entered it with a grant. I won thousands of dollars. I bought a van. I loaded it up with equipment. I went out there to local parks, and I spent an hour and a half setting up these obstacle course training things. I had my van full of all kinds of buckets, tires, sledgehammers, cinder blocks, all kinds of stuff. And I went to work because I knew that if I was going to be successful, I had to make a better product than every single other person. If I wanted to make it, I had to work harder, get up earlier, stay up later than every single other person out there doing the same thing as me. So that's what I did. I was going to school, I was starting my company, I was personal training, I was teaching classes, I was running across country, I was doing all kinds of things. Every single morning I would get up, work all day, every single night got home, because that's what it takes, that's what you have to do. I had tried out made my school cross-country team, so I was able to run that Warrior Dash, where I found my hope. I ended up winning first place out of about 15,000 people. Since then, I've won 25 more obstacle courses, 26 total. But that's not what I care about. I don't even care about, it's cool, it's an added bonus, whatever. But what I care about is training my guys to get and conquer these courses. You know what I mean? What I care about is helping people go and do these courses. I get to work with kids from the Covenant in the house, so I get to work with kids in shelters. I train them, they come do my events. We're all going to the Spartan races July 18th, there's 50 of us. I'm entering to win a grant right now, because next year I want to send 300 of us to these obstacle courses, this obstacle course race. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So what my life is like today, this August 8th, coming up, I'll be 4 years clean and sober, and life is good. I can't believe I got into that stuff. It's artificial, it'll kill you. What makes you think is harmless, you might think it's fun, it's not fun. You know what I mean? It's terrible, it destroyed everything in my whole life. So 4 years, I'll be clean and sober on August 8th. I have a great relationship with my dad today. You know, my dad, me and him are great. I always felt like a failure, a disappointment to him my whole life. He's a pretty successful, he's a pretty good guy. So my dad, you know, tells me he's proud of me, always shakes my hand. You know, he was at my year anniversary for my first year clean and sober, and I stood up there in my speech and I said, you know, I can't speak for my family, I can't speak for my mother especially, my dad, my brothers, I can't take back all the pain I caused them, I can't. So I can't speak for them, but I know for me, every single dark night, every single bit of pain, you know, every single thing is worth it if I can help even just one person. And if I can inspire one person, that they can change their life. You know, and that's it. My mother, you know, it's upsetting, you know, I get sad, I wish my mother wanted me to get sober so bad, and I wish more than anything I could have just shown her a day, you know, but I couldn't. You know, she won't be at my wedding, she'll never be a grandmother to my kids, but I know that she's with me. I know that I can finally represent her and be the son she always wanted to be. I know she's watching me. You know, I know I'll see her again. And until then, I'm going to keep living my life the way that she lived hers, helping other people, struggling. You know, other things. I run my company. It's great. I got amazing people that come to my gym that inspire me each and every single day. Such positive people. I work with, you know, amazing trainers that have the same kind of objectives and goals as me, that care about other people's fitness. We create an army. We create. You know, the mission is to create this army. Our slogan is to create a growing army of ordinary people doing extraordinary things, using and facing obstacles to become stronger. And then with that newfound confidence, we can go out and help others. You know, other things, I drive a car, I own a car, which may not be a big deal, but you know, there was a point in my life where my license was so far gone, I had so many fines racked up, I didn't ever think I'd be able to drive again, so that's a pretty big deal to me. I live in an apartment, I can pay my rent on time, there's food in my fridge. I remember, you know, some points in my life where all I had was a bag of potatoes. I remember getting food from the food bank. There's nothing more degrading than having to go to the food bank, not because you're poor, not because you're well off, because you spent all your money on drugs and alcohol. And there's nothing more embarrassing and humiliating than that. You know, so many things I can't even think about right now. So what I want to say is never, ever give up on your hope, no matter what life brings you, no matter how hard it seems. Don't give up your hope and never count out the other dog. There's people out there that are hurting. There's people out there that you may see that are angry, sad, whatever. We don't know what's going on in their life. They're the ones that are the most hurting inside. So keep your head up, look out for them. You know, surround yourself with positive people. Don't ever forget about the people struggling. And then there's going to be people that look down on you. There's going to be people that hate you. There's going to be people that use your successes against you, as weapons against you. You know, screw that, leave them alone. Surround yourself with those people that are like you. And I think that is it. So, finishing grade 8, en route to grade 9. Good luck. It's a terrifying time in life, I'm sure. You're the biggest kids right now. You're going to be the smallest at your next school. But, you know what I mean? Whatever. life brings you, just keep at it. Every single thing that you do, every single day gets you further. I remember, not doing my homework. You finish your homework, it's less stress, you feel better. So give her. That's it, I think.
Jesse.
Any questions?